Path of Exile's Heist League brings many new powerful toys, all hidden and scattered behind many different pages and sources. I gathered them up so that you can spend more time playing and less time reading. Get yourself a level 4 enhance and get the following benefits. Divergent Berserk gives you 52% more spell damage. This goes well with Chainbreaker, given by the Lethal Pride Timeless Jewel with Akoya. This lets you regenerate 3 rage per second, increases and reductions to mana regeneration rate instead apply to rage regeneration rate, and lose 5 rage when you hit an enemy, no more than once every 0.3 seconds. To put this in perspective, Pain Attunement gives you 30% more damage when you're on low life. Berserk almost doubles the buff for a small price to pay. And if you're real fancy, use both. If you struggle with chaos resistance, use Plaguebearer. Divergent Plaguebearer gives you a 22% reduced chaos damage taken while incubating. In context, this means with 0 investment into chaos resist, the damage you take is equivalent to having 35% additional chaos resist for the price of 2 green sockets. As you invest more into chaos resistance, the mitigation becomes weaker, but it still reduces damage after having reached the resistance cap. Very powerful in combination with the glorious Vanity Timeless Jewel with Divine Flesh. Just don't forget to activate Plaguebearer whenever you enter a map. I 100% will play a Flameblast build this league and recommend you do so as well. The reason being, Flameblast has now 3 completely different playstyles, all of them worth checking out. Let me break them down to you, going from least powerful to absolutely broken. Phantasmal Flameblast makes the skill a fast clearer. Channeling regular Flameblast makes it feel slow, especially without cast speed scaling. The damage, however, is already pretty high and ignites are really juicy. The skill is so strong for regular packs you don't even need to fully channel and stack the ability for damage. The only problem was then to have enough area of effect to hit the entire pack. This was only achievable by fully stacking the Flameblast. The Phantasmal Flameblast makes it so that you basically start at the maximum AoE, so with just 3 stacks you hit half the screen with 300% more ignite damage. At maximum stacks, Phantasmal Flameblast has 0 area effect. This means for bosses it's wise to have a regular Flameblast to enable you to stack fully and use all the AoE. Anomalous Flameblast converts fire damage into chaos damage and gives you chance to poison on hit. Flameblast scales all ailment damage, so a poison Flameblast is very devastating. I've already made a poison Flameblast build in Delirium League and it was super strong, yet to make this possible I had to sacrifice so much defense that I wouldn't have recommended the build to anybody. But with this one, combine it with any +1 6-link chest. Together with Enhance, it has 100% damage conversion with 50% chance to poison. No other conversion needed. Unless you want to skip the +1 chest, then you can just go a Consuming Dark or the Infernal Mantle. The most powerful Flameblast though is the Divergent Flameblast. It gains up to 5 maximum stages. This means you get 450% more ailment damage and 550% more spell damage. This is on top of the original 900% more ailment damage and 1100% more spell damage. As I've mentioned before, it's possible to play this skill with poison, making the ailment scaling even more valuable. These gems to me are the most powerful gems to get this league. There definitely are other powerful gems out there, and I made a small list for myself where I list all gems that are more powerful than the original. Examples would be all aura gems have better stats, and so do totem skills. I'd say most gems are better with the new quality, but only few of them are significant enough to change playstyle or feel. Anyway, my point would be, get an enhanced level 4. There are really interesting ones like 100% conversion into chaos for Spark, and then you have the additional arrows for Toxic Rain. Dread Banner and Impale support for minion builds are strong as they enable a 100% chance to impale for minions in combination with the Cluster Jewel. Speaking of minions, my league starter was a cookie cutter strength stacking zombie skelly build. My plan before the league started was to use Hexblast, and as I was planning, I thought starting as a witch would be best, as the skill is related to curses and the occultist is good for that. But as I was leveling, I thought maybe having minions to distract mobs while I curse and Hexblast would be a neat idea. Hexblast, if you didn't already know, allows all damage to have ignite, shock and freeze. It has a very interesting way to interact with resistances as well. So I then thought that using spiritual aid would be probably a very good idea, since it increases everything. I then spec'd into Necromancer to gain even more damage, but at some point my tanking minions would deal more damage than I did. So it just made sense to go full minion build instead. Astromantis and Strength Gear was really cheap as well. With just 2 or 3 exalts, I was able to kill Sirius and run red maps. The build really isn't anything special, and I doubt it's hardcore viable as I have died many times, but then again, a lot of them were avoidable. With a little bit more investment, maybe it would be hardcore viable. And honestly, minion builds are actually very safe. My Sirius kill could have been deathless if I was able to actually see the exits of the maze, and maybe not run off screen while he's shooting beams, which are all problems that are easily fixed by maybe using your eyes and playing smarter. So if you believe you're more skilled than I am and want to play a build that doesn't need much thinking, then I'd recommend this build. My usual path of building didn't update, but I've learned from Wolfio that there is another community path of building by Localidentity. I'll leave the link in the description together with my path of building pastebin. My first impressions of Heist is a very positive one. Not only was I successful with my build, Heist actually made me realize something I've forgotten. After playing this game for more than 6 years, I've forgotten how much fun it is to follow a story and dialogue. Honestly speaking, I've never even thought about Path of Exile's story. Back then, when I started playing Path of Exile, there were only 3 acts and the story was basically you're playing someone who was exiled by Dominus and you were fighting your way back to him and kill him. I still don't know exactly why things are the way they are. I know that the gems play a significant role and trying to wield them is part of it. But yeah, I don't know the exact details, and even after 6 years of playing, I don't know. The weird part about this is all of this info wasn't something I've learned through the game, but rather have a friend talking about the story. This puts me in a very odd spot because I've noticed that listening to the dialogue in Heist and not clicking everything away as fast as possible had a very positive effect on my experience. Now I haven't played all the storyline heists yet and still need to progress to see the entire story, but just by taking it a bit slower, paying attention to the expensive voice acting, made everything more enjoyable. But anyway, to summarize the important parts of the video, I've played a summoner, killed Sirius, now have currency to move on to other builds, and want to finish the Heist storyline. You should pay attention to gems and get a level 4 enhance. There are definitely new build defining gems that I want to try, such as Spectral Throw cast on crit or exploding decoy totems, but these more meme builds will be explored in another video. But I believe things like Plaguebearer or Berserk are more applicable for most people, making them more valuable. But for me, Flameblast gained just way too much power to be ignored, especially after having played my Flameblast build in Delirium. But I've been leveling a ED Contagion Occultist as my next character to test defensive mechanics that I haven't explored before, but more on that in the next video. This is Y1 Gaming, and I hope this was helpful.